saw an advertisement for a rehabilitation counsellor. And once I started that, I loved it. I thought, this is not just a job for me, this is my life's work. And after about a year of working for them, they asked me one day to debt collect, and I discovered that all of the invoices had been inflated by 10%. And I said, that's fraud, and I can't be associated with that, and I'm resigning. The lady who worked downstairs was a physiotherapist, and her name was Jane Edwards. She said, well, have you ever thought about starting your own company? And I said, no. And she said, well, if you did, I would be prepared to invest. And she said, well, I think Southeast Queensland needs exactly the service you've been providing. It needs an ethical vocational rehabilitation service. And I think you can do that. And I'd be prepared to put money on it. She obviously saw in me a capability that I hadn't even asked myself if I had. And then I said we'd have to borrow $7,800, and they probably want to secure it against the house. So it would be a second mortgage. And I said I would do my very best not to lose the money. If I did, would he divorce me? And he said no, laughingly. The service worked. The outcomes were extraordinary. We were going into the recession that we had to have. And so unemployment was heading rapidly towards 11%. But we were helping at least 75% of those people with quite small intervention into work, into lasting work. And so that was a platform. I guess I at the time called that social entrepreneurism. We were constantly looking for new ways in which we could help more people and help people measurably, not just feel good about sitting alongside someone. Both of my parents had enormous influence on me. My father, as a result of a plane accident in India during the Second World War, became a paraplegic. He went from being a man who was fascinated by flight, who was a rugby player, who was a rower, an athlete, who flew a plane, to being in a wheelchair. And his story is one of not giving up. I guess his story is to focus on what you can do. If you don't dream it, you can't do it. When we started, I had 8 clients. By the end of that year, there were probably about 5 of us with 150 clients between us. By the end of year 3, there were probably about 30 of us with, at any one time, 900 clients. In Australia, we were growing and growing, and we got to a point where we were the largest private provider in the country of what was then called job network services, employment services. And we were also the largest non-insurer-owned vocational rehabilitation provider. We sold Inductee, Australia, in 2007. I had considered that as my husband was considering becoming Leader of the Opposition, and so I told my board, this is what I'm going to now do. I'm going to look at what are the ethical implications of being a government-funded provider of welfare to work services if Kevin becomes Prime Minister. In Britain, where we had one significant market share, we had 4 or 5 or 6 contracts, none of which co-terminated. The government changed to a Conservative government. They cancelled all of the contracts. So we joint ventured the company with Deloitte. It meant we could bid for £1.1 billion of work. So we went into that, and we were the largest provider in Britain.
One of Thérèse's greatest successes is creating a multinational business operating across 12 countries, 12 cultures, where we made a genuine difference in the lives of people. She actually is very humble in all of that. The business was all about helping people into decent, lasting jobs. It was all about giving people hope that tomorrow could be better than today.
By the time I divested, I sold the company in 2014. We had 6,000 colleagues in 12 countries, serving 500,000 people at any one time. I didn't know I was capable of business. I didn't know I could speak in public and engage an audience. I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. I didn't know I was an innovator. I didn't know that I could lead. I didn't know any of those things.
I think what surprised me most about Thérèse was her constant entrepreneurial drive. She was constantly coming up with new ideas, and sometimes we hadn't got quite over the last one, which was great. What sets Thérèse apart from other business leaders is her storytelling capability, I think. She was able to relate stories that gave the business purpose, gave both our clients and our staff a clear understanding of what drives the business.
There was a person who said, let's give this a go. I believe you can. My father was like that for me. Jane Edwards was like that for me. Kevin has been like that for me. Having someone in your life who says, I think you can, yes you can, come on, let's do that. That's life-changing. I think I approach every single client as a unique person with a unique story, with unique talents, with unique strengths. And I focus on what they can do. Good help is not about doing things to people, it's helping them to do things.
Thérèse is one of the most successful self-made businesswomen Australia has ever produced.